Betting big on Bitcoin, some investors think the cryptocurrency will hit $100,000 by the middle of this year. Bitcoin currently hovering just under 47,000. Joining me now, Bitwise Asset Management Chief Investment Officer Matt Hougan. Matt, where do you see Bitcoin heading this year? Because there was some sell-off at the end of last year.
I think that's right, Dagan. I think that number is in play for this year. We could see a rocky first half of the year, but there are massive secular trends that are pushing not just Bitcoin, but all of crypto higher that I think are going to overwhelm the hesitation that we're seeing in the market right now. So I'm very excited, particularly for the second quarter onward.
Ryan Payne?
What's that?
I definitely agree with you.
I'm just getting Ryan in here, Matt. Hold on one second.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. Hey, Matt, how's it going? I mean, I agree with you in the narrative that it could go higher here. I think there's a high correlation with the fact that the government created $4 trillion and, people want a place to speculate on their money. But I question, what's the viability of Bitcoin long term? I mean, it seems like the commercial use is nil. It's fake scarcity, right? I mean, it's not like real scarcity, like there's only so much oil in the world. These are just digits that are created on a screen. So I just wonder, at some point, does Bitcoin just become worthless?
I'm skeptical of that point of view. I think the scarcity is very real. It's secured by a global network of community. It's secured by game theory. It's secured by code. I think Bitcoin is going to evolve into digital gold. I think it's already there. I think it's stealing gold's thunder. You've seen that in the relative outperformance of Bitcoin versus gold. And as you mentioned, with almost infinite supply of dollars sloshing around the economy, people need a way to hedge themselves from the risk of inflation. So I think it's almost secure in that role of digital gold, and we're seeing more and more institutions position themselves in Bitcoin. And I also would add there's a lot going on in crypto outside of Bitcoin, in Ethereum and Layer 1 and the metaverse and NFTs, that's going to have a second story to crypto to lift it higher.
Christian, jump in here.
All right. Well, Matt, one other, in addition to what Ryan just said, which is skepticism that Bitcoin will survive the removal of surplus dollars that the Fed is potentially planning for this year. It's also the question, if Bitcoin became competitive with foreign currencies or with any currency, with the dollar in particular, would federal governments tolerate its existence? If you look at China, they're okay with the digital yuan, which lets them track their own individual citizens making any transaction, but they've essentially banned Bitcoin because they don't want to competitor. I mean, the United States is dependent on printing dollars for revenue. Are we going to tolerate a competitor?
I actually don't think we're going to have a choice long term. Look, short term, the role, as I mentioned, is Bitcoin as digital gold. And just like the government hasn't touched the gold market for 80 years or so from banning of ownership, I don't think they're going to do anything in Bitcoin. Long term, I think the world is going to want an apolitical currency rail. When you think of the future with a multipolar world with the US and Europe and China competing on equal terms, people are going to want an apolitical tool for international trade. I think Bitcoin could fill that role. So whether the government likes it or not in the US, I don't think they're going to have the ability to stop it. Just because China banned it, they banned Facebook, they banned Instagram, they banned Google. It's often a positive indicator that something is truly valuable. I think Bitcoin has escape velocity. I think it's beyond the ability of the U.S. government to clamp down. So whether they like it or not, I think they're going to have to play along with it. And my hope is that the U.S. recognizes that this is a massive tool of economic growth and actually gets on the right side of history, supports the efficiency and the new opportunities that Bitcoin and crypto opens up. So that's what I hope to see happen in a year or two ahead.
Wait, but what about when the entire climate change crew wakes up to the fact that it requires massive amounts of energy and electricity to mint Bitcoin?
Yeah, they're already awake. They're awake and they're screaming about it. But I think that's a false story, Dagan. Look, we see a lot of industries right now that are going through a transition from a carbon-intensive path to a carbon-neutral future. I drive a gas-powered car. There's a good chance my next car will be electrically powered. The same thing is true in crypto. Bitcoin was the first crypto asset. The consensus mechanism it uses to secure the network consumes a lot of energy. But newer crypto assets have moved on to a new consensus mechanism called proof of stake that's carbon neutral. Over the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see crypto transition from this carbon-intensive path to a carbon-neutral future in the same way you're seeing the automobile industry do it. It's not going to happen all at once. It's going to happen for the right reasons. But long-term, crypto is actually a positive for the environment. It's a positive for S&G. It's a positive for society.
Matt, thank you. Matt Hougan. Good to see you.